I'm your host, Jade.
And I'm your host, Emma.
And this is Lashing Out and Nailing Life.
Today, we are doing a more business-focused episode. And we are answering some questions that we got, finally.
Yeah, so if anybody else wants to continue sending us questions, that
feel
would
free. We love
help.
questions.
Yeah.
So today, I guess I'll read the questions. Hold on, let me find them. We got, what were you going to say?
I was going to say this is a good episode for anybody who already owns a business, or if you're just thinking about starting a business, it'll apply to both of you.
Yes.
If you have no interest in the business world, like literally no interest, you might want to just skip this episode.
Yeah, unless you just want to be nosy about how we run our business, which I would be. So we got 4 questions, and so it said, as a business owner, what was the hardest things / steps, stages in the beginning of starting your business? What advice can you give to people who, this is question number 2. What advice can you give to people who want to start a small business? Question number 3. What about your business, or when do you feel most relieved about your business? And then any regrets or something you wish you could have done differently in the process of making your business? So, do you want to go first with your answers?
I mean, we can just, we'll go back and forth, I guess.
Yeah,
we'll start with question 1, which was, what is the hardest part of starting your business? I feel like for a lot of people, there's going to be similarities in these answers, especially since we're in the same industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, the hardest part, and I feel like I'm still struggling with it, is building consistency. And that's across all boards, clientele, social media, marketing, you name it. Mm-hmm. Consistent income, like all of the above. Consistently reordering things. Like consistency is just probably the hardest thing when it comes to running a business and adjusting to the fact that there really is no consistency when you're running a business, and just having that understanding. Like, you're going to have slow weeks, you're going to have really busy weeks, and it's just going to happen. And just learning to accept that was really difficult. And then when you're first starting, like, I would second guess my pricing. I would second guess my skills, my branding, like everything. You just second guess a lot when you're starting a business, because if you've never run a business, you don't know what you're doing. You just don't. You have to learn as you go. And I think I really struggled with that. Especially, I second guessed my skills so much. They do not teach you lashing properly in beauty school. You have to take a specific class for it. But I didn't really know that, because when I worked at the spa I worked at, they gave me an adhesive that worked in that room, that worked in that climate. And I never thought about that. But I had never been taught about how lash adhesives worked. So I moved into my studio, I ordered the adhesive I had always used back in the spa I worked at, not thinking about the fact that that room ran from 74 to 84 degrees, and the humidity in there was always like 50 plus, because I did facials in there with a steamer. Well, my studio had like 16 to 25% humidity. The temperature was always, my first studio ran very cold. My temperature was always like 68 to 72. So both things were really far. My retention sucked for like the first month or 2. Mm-hmm. I would get texts all the time. So I second guessed my skills so badly when I first started, and I got in a good place. It probably took me 6 months to finally do like the research and finally have people help me out. But definitely second guessing was one of the hardest things for me.
Yeah, I have some things listed like that too.
Yeah. And then just like, you don't have a roadmap, just passion and grit. Like, you just got to go off of your passion when you start.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had the hardest things about starting a business were figuring out how to juggle everything by yourself. Like, you don't have other people who, like, you don't have HR, and you don't have employees, and you don't have even just like a manager to be like, hey, can you do this? I don't want to. So figuring out, and like, again, with the consistency, being consistent about it. Don't just let some things slide and some things not, or put off certain maybe conversations that need to happen. And then the other thing was learning boundaries in the beginning. Even though I had Monday, Tuesday, Saturday as being closed, I would often come in on Tuesday and Saturday. And while I could fit more people in, I started getting so exhausted, because also leading up to me being fully solo, which now you're doing this now too, but like, I was working part-time at my studio and part-time at the nail salon, and I had one day off, and I was dead. I was so dead. And then when I came out, I thought, it's okay, I'll just keep working. And I was getting to a point where I started feeling like I hated it again. When I was in the salon and getting like, I hate this, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I got out on my own and was like, oh, this is fun. And then I was like, okay, I hate this, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to not take clients on the days that I'm not supposed to be taking clients. And then, overcoming fear and imposter syndrome, I feel like is a huge thing in our industry because we just see so many people, and a lot of people who we might think are better than us. And I think I've mentioned this before in a previous episode. They're honestly not honest, and they'll make things seem like they did it in 2 hours or an hour, and you'll be like, that would have taken me 8 hours. And the other day I actually had an artist who I had always thought it was taking her 2 hours to do her basic like base and then her really detailed character art. And the other day she was like, this set took me 8 hours. And I was like, oh, okay, why don't you tell people this when you talk about it? Because it just makes you feel a little more seen. And it made me feel like I wasn't as behind as I should be, because I was like, oh yeah, that would take me 8 hours too, or even 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, going off of your working every day and having rest days, when I first started my business, I had all 7 days open for clients to book on because I thought that was the only way I was going to build a clientele. And that's just not true. If you're starting your own business, please have days blocked off for yourself. Because not even for yourself or for rest days, but there's so much to do behind the scenes when you first start a business that not taking those days to actually sit down and create posts for social media or look over your budget, and please build a budget spreadsheet. That was one of the things I did not do at the beginning, and it made it so difficult. And yeah, build a budget. Please build a budget. Yeah. Take time to build a budget.
And even if you feel like you don't want to work 4 10s. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
I keep having that.
That has been my yesterday and today. I kept having like those feelings. Anyways, I forgot what I was going to say now. God.
Something about working 4 10s.
Yes. If you don't want to work 4 10s or 4 12s or whatever a lot of us do so we can have more days off, then at least 1 day a week. If you really are thinking you need to push yourself, start with 1 day a week, and at least you'll have the 1 day until you can adjust your schedule or whatever. But
find the 1 or 2 days that you do really want to have off every week. And like, they don't have, I highly recommend when you start working a weekend day. It sucks. It's not great. I understand your friends, partner, family maybe has weekends off. But we're in an industry where people come after they get off of work. So when you are starting, for sure, I recommend working a weekend day. As you get more established and you build your clientele, you can shift to working just weekdays. I have tons of friends that work weekdays and it works perfectly for them. But just to give yourself that availability at the beginning, at least make sure you're working a Saturday or Sunday.
And when I started and I was still part-time, I was doing 3 1/2 day at my studio, and then 3 1/2, that's 6, right? 3 1/2 day at the other. Yeah. I was like, how many is 6 days? And when I got to a point where I knew I was going to be quitting my job and opening at least one more day, I asked all my clients, I said, this is the whole week.
Yeah.
Every day except for Monday, because I knew that was going to be my for sure day. Mm-hmm. What days would you want to come in? And I picked the however many days I wanted to work, the 4 most popular days. So I picked that based off of, okay, well, 10 people wanted Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 people wanted Saturday, and 3 people wanted Sunday or whatever. And I was like, well, Sunday is the more popular weekend day, and these days, and I don't think maybe a couple people picked Tuesday, but I was like, well, I might as well have 2 days off in a row. So
I just want it noted from personal experience, I have changed my days off so much. I have taken Thursdays off, I have taken Fridays off, I have taken Sundays off, I have taken Mondays off. And I have had clients stay with me through all of that. Mm-hmm. If they love you, they will work around your schedule. And remember that you are running your own business. So at the beginning of it, you're going to have to take those difficult clients when you're establishing yourself. And we've all been there. We've all dealt with the clients where you're like, oh my gosh, why do I have you? But the payoff in the long run is like, once you get there, you're going to have clients that love you for you. And that's the best feeling ever. And they're going to stay with you no matter which your schedule is.
That's
from
a relief.
personal
that
experience.
Kind of answers part of the relief question.
True.
But,
they all kind of
yeah.
flow together, these questions.
They kind of do. But yeah, it's just about and knowing your demographic and where you are. And yeah, maybe you are in an area where it's all women who either stay at home or have a more flexible at-home job, or people, I guess I shouldn't just say women, but like people who maybe don't have as much of boundaries with work. And then or you might have people who only come in, I think I even mentioned this a couple episodes ago, like there are some people who will come in at 1:00 and just stay until midnight because their clientele is people who come in for their lunch and after work. So it all just depends, and not having the roadmap is super hard, but that's why sometimes it is, if you're not totally scared about relying on it as your main income in the beginning, it does make it a little easier because you at least know, even if it's just savings that you have, you at least know that like, okay, well, rent is paid this month, this week.
I definitely recommend always making sure you have a safety net when you're starting a business. Like whether that's a partner's income you can trust on, parents' income, your old savings, another job. I don't recommend just starting a business and assuming that it's going to be your stable income. That's a big risk to take, and something Emma and I can't talk about at all because I don't think you did it either. We both didn't take out loans.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
so Emma and I have absolutely no information on that. So if you're looking for that, we are not going to help you because I have no information on business loans.
I also hate loans. So that's why I didn't do that.
But I just wanted to disclose that right now in case any of you were like, well, I should take a loan for this. Totally an option. It's just Emma and I have no information on that.
And I will say I have two friends who have told me they've taken out loans. And one of them, I don't know about the other girl, she's doing good. Like her business is still thriving. But one of them, definitely her business has not taken off. She's now sharing a suite with someone and working 2 days a week so she can have another job. And the reason she has to get this other job is because she has to pay off her loan. Yeah. So it's better to, if you know ahead of time, I saved and saved and saved for an entire year. And by the time I was done, I probably had about $7,000 in my savings account, spent all of it. Well, not all of it. I shouldn't say that, but like not all at once. But I was able to be like, okay, I only had 2 clients this week, but rent is paid. And then once I got to a point, I did get to a point where it was like, okay, all that my expenses covered or all that my services covered was rent. That was it. Yeah. Nothing extra. But if I needed a new color, like replacement, or if I needed something else, I still had my savings. So I was like, but rent is paid. And then you just get word of mouth and you just you figure out how you need to market. And it is definitely definitely something. So
I think overall the hardest thing for both of us from what we've just talked about is just trusting yourself. Yeah. You just have to trust it and go with the flow.
And while
you have to be flexible.
Yes. And while we talk about firing difficult clients, making the schedule how you want it and all of these things, you have to hustle in the beginning. Yeah. You don't have to hustle for the rest of your life, because if you hustle in the beginning, you get to a point where you create at least some form of sustainability. And like now I'm in a point of sustainability where I can start other, I don't know if micro businesses are the right word because that sounds weird, but I'm starting to get back into my art and sell it. Even if it's just like simple doodly designs, I'm finally, this is the first time I'm announcing it, but it's almost done, making a beginner's basic to social media ebook, which I had started probably about 8 months ago.
You've been talking about it for a while with me.
So I'm doing that, but I know that like if those don't work out, I still have the income from my business and I'm making it, but it would be nice to kind of have more, because I don't want to have to work more in the studio. Yeah.
You have more freedom.
Yeah. I've thrown around that once we move out and me and my boyfriend are seeing each other every day, I might add another day or a half day or like every other Saturday sort of situation, but I don't really know yet because I don't know how it's going to be.
Yeah, it's just about gauging it. Okay, we'll move on to question 2. What advice would you give to someone starting a small business? I feel like a lot of the hardest parts tumbled into being advice. Yeah. Honestly. So again, pushing past imposter syndrome, you're going to get there. we're a 100% art/skill based job, and art and skill take time to develop, and you just have to trust that you're going to get there. So my biggest advice is practice, practice, practice. And that means if you don't have a client, you're practicing on a mannequin, whether that's hair, nails, lashes, you're practicing on a mannequin. If you have friends and family that you can do free services on, that's even better. And I say free because you do have to do some free services when you're starting up. You cannot expect everybody to pay you for everything, especially if you're taking in new services or you're offering new skills. You're going to have to take that little bit of a loss.
Or set them to be obscenely
cheap. Yeah. That's the second option.
When I started, I think I did everything, I want to say $20 cheaper than what I was considering my competitor at the time. For my basic services, but then I did free repairs and free chip fixes and free I'll come in on a weird Monday morning and fix this one nail that fell off, like all of that. And then my model services, which they're still super cheap, but I have fun doing them. But my model services in the beginning, I believe, were even like $40, which was maybe even another $15 cheaper than my base services. And that included art. Those were 3-hour appointments. They are 3-hour appointments.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to, because we've talked about this before, it's always better to raise your prices later. And also, I think with me, people were more accepting of a more drastic price increase in the beginning because they knew I was only working part-time. I had just started out. I figured out what I needed for my budget. I figured out what I needed to survive. And then when I raised my prices, that extra initial like $20, $25 or whatever, they were like, oh, that makes sense because it was so cheap for all the time that you put in and things like that. So definitely doing that. And then what else?
Also, please don't offer like free services publicly. I say give free services to your friends and family. You don't want the clients that are coming in for free services. And strangers. I very much have still continued to learn this the hard way. I did a giveaway for Mother's Day this year, and I'm hoping the person I'm talking about is not listening, but if they are, I'm just going to say it. Yeah. She came in, free lash set, totally fine, didn't tip me on it. Again, I let it happen. I didn't care at the time, but she rebooked for a fill and then no-showed. And that to me was just my final straw of giving like fully free services away.
And I hate when people do that. If you don't want to come back, just be like, I'm not going to rebook right now. I don't know what my schedule is like.
That, or even if she had texted me like the day before and been like, hey, I'm not going to make it to my fill. Right. That would have been better. It's the fact. And I sent her a text on the day off. Actually, I called her. I left a voicemail.
Is this also the client that you charged the no-show fee and she like,
nope,
okay.
It's a different one. No, I gave this girl a call and I was like, hey, I just want you to know, like, it's your appointment time. I just wanted to check if you're coming in. She didn't pick up. So I left that voicemail. So I shot her a text. She has never texted me back. That's crazy. I just never heard from her again.
And again, why get charged for something if you didn't want it in the first place?
Yeah. So
I don't understand that either.
But that's what sucks is I did not have a card on file because it was a free giveaway service.
So that's a tip. Always, always, always put a card on file and always, always, always take a deposit.
Yep.
The 2 clients I recently realized I don't have a card on file are also the 2 clients that I know will Venmo me when the time comes because they care. But I've been doing their nails for 2 years at this point, and I just now realized that their card had expired, and I just never asked them for a new one. So they started with a card on file. And I don't love deposits because I think deposits freak people out more than card on file. But take something to cover you if they don't show up. That's huge. A lot of people are scared to, or a lot of people think that because you're asking for a deposit, people are nervous about it. But if they're nervous about giving you $20 towards a service they're already going to come to, that means they're not going to show up.
In our industry, in tattoo industry, in so many industries, it is normal to keep a card on file. It is normal to take a deposit. If they message you and they're like, hey, I'm trying to schedule an appointment, but it's asking for me to put a card on file and I don't feel comfortable doing that, it's your first red flag. Don't take them. Because I've done it too many times.
We're only going to charge your card on file if you don't show up. Mm-hmm. And we're only going to keep your deposit if you don't show up. So
I don't have access to your card until it's your appointment time. I don't understand the fear.
Right. I can't charge your card unless it's gonna. And if I do, it automatically sends everyone an email. So it's not like I'm gonna. But also, that's just something too. Like, if you were someone who was like, oh, I'm gonna steal my client's card, you're gonna give yourself a bad reputation.
Yeah,
like
there's also that.
This is relevant. Relevant. A couple weeks ago, Nail World, this guy Nuni Torres, he like people are still trying to get nails from him, and he's scamming people. Like fully, I'm coming to this place. Give me your like crazy deposit, like $100 deposit. To hold your spot. I'm only going to be here for 3 days. People are showing up. Have you seen that? People are showing up to the place he's supposed to be. Not there.
That's crazy.
And then he'll post on social media and be like, oh, well, it's because I couldn't get my license transferred. But now people are learning that he's not licensed at all. And he's doing nails on people unlicensed. Isn't that nuts?
That's absolutely crazy.
Anyways, so you get a bad reputation, and then what? What do you do from there? He's rebranded like 4 times at this point, and people just are like, you can't, it's not like we're not going to know who you are, especially when you're the face of your own company.
I want to piggyback off of this and say the advice part out of this, going along with the deposits and the card on file. Get a booking system. Mm-hmm. I understand the fear of paying for extra things. I do when you're starting out, but this is why I said a budget is important in the advice part of this. You need to budget in having a booking system. My booking system that I pay for is $25 a month for the basic one, and I feel like that's all I need. It's worked great for me. It's what I've kept. They do have a $50 one, and they have an even more expensive one. That one's for if you have employees, though. I have no interest in having employees, so it's not relevant to me at all. But I promise you, paying that $25 to $50 a month, and I don't necessarily recommend going over $50 for a booking system if you're solo and don't have employees, but that's just going to save you so much hassle because it schedules everything. It has your system.
People see your pricing. They have to see your pricing when they book. Yeah,
all these booking systems too. I think all of them. I could be wrong. I think most of them have a website for you. The one I use has a completely structured website.
Square will do that too, but they have a booking site link where it's just like when you click, like if I clicked on with your website, but it only pulled up your booking instead of like your about and everything like that. But also, so what I do is I have the Square appointments, and then mine's $30 a month, and it covers the card on file. It sends appointment reminders. And then I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. And maybe my Square is even cheaper and it's $30 total. And I have a Google site, and the Google site's fully customizable, just like Square, just like anything else. I think Gloss Genius is the easiest if you don't feel like you're technologically savvy.
Yeah, it's a really good starting point.
But I recently learned, and I don't know if the free version lets you keep a card on file, but there are some free booking sites where you can have a booking site, but it's free.
Oh, okay.
I think one is called like Freesia or Fresca or something like that.
I've heard of Fresca, so that must be,
And it's free, and then it might be one of those things where if you want to keep a card on file, you have to charge more. But if you have the free one, then maybe you do deposits, and then you don't have to worry about that.
Just do your research. What I did when I was starting my business, I met up with a girl who I knew had her lash business for a year or two, and totally free. Like, I just sat down with her over coffee, and I had a list of, I can probably still find it in my notes. I think I had a list of like 20 questions that I just rapid fired asked her. I was like, there was something about taxes. I asked her about what was her biggest regret not having in her studio when she first started, which ironically is the Cosmoglow light, which is a light that goes over their head when you're lashing. And I'm so glad I asked about that because the number of light options is extremely high, and it's definitely been my best investment. It was $300. I could be wrong. I think it was $300 when I bought it, but I'm now in my 3rd year of business, and it's lasted all 3 years. So even if it craps out now, even if it craps out now, we're all good. So I recommend, if you have somebody in your life, or even if you get a service from somebody, or you just follow somebody on social media,
it doesn't hurt to ask.
Just reach out and be like, hey, can we meet for coffee, brunch, drinks? I don't necessarily recommend that, but if that is where you socially feel better, you're just asking questions about how to
Or
start
if
your
it's just
business.
meeting up at the evening and not getting, because I'll say drinks sometimes, but really it's like, yeah, we'll go and I'll get water.
That's fair. But I definitely recommend, that was one of the best things I did for myself, was finding somebody to sit down with and ask all those questions to. And they don't even have to necessarily be in your specific niche. She was lashes, but even if any of you wanted to reach out to me or Emma, I know I would be 100% open to sitting down with you, whether you do hair, skin, lashes, nails. Like,
it might be hard to fit depending on our schedules, but even if it's just, because I answer questions for people all the time. So when I started, I was talking to the only other girl I knew who was in her own business, and she waxes. Her name's Camila. She's my waxer. We're also friends. And I asked her, like, okay, where did you go, even just for like business cards, because I knew I needed a couple business cards so I could hand them all out. And she told me so much, because we're also in the same area, and being in Parker, they have special taxes for sales tax. And there was also just like things you didn't think about. Like, even though you're registered with the state as a licensed professional, you also have to register your studio as a business.
Fun fact, I didn't find that out until 2 years into my business.
Most people don't, because you're like, oh, well, I'm already licensed, so I don't need to license my studio, because the only other time I had ever seen people license their studio is if they weren't licensed, but they were hiring licensed people. So there was that. And then just like, where do you go for the sales tax? Do I need to call the city for this? Is this something, should I get my own Wi-Fi, or should I use the Wi-Fi in the place or whatever? So there's all these questions that I asked her, and she was super willing and open. And then I had someone reach out to me, and he does tattoos in my home state, North Carolina. And he was like, I'm really confused about social media, and your page looks really clean. What do you use? What do you do? Everyone tells me that they use it wasn't Canva. He told me something else. And then I think he said that and Canva. Like, I'm debating which one to get and if I need the pro version. And I told him what I started with, and how I didn't use the pro version of Canva in the beginning because they have so many free options. I didn't need to. And now that I'm getting more specific,
yeah, I've expanded into it.
I will.
Having the branding really helps in Canva. I'm just saying, like, when you start, I also didn't need it, but being able to actually set all my branding in there and be able to just click on the certain colors and fonts.
Titles,
fonts,
it's
everything. Been a lot easier.
Even things that you've like saved. Like, I'll save designs that I'm like, oh, I want this cohesive.
And I like being able to clear the background so I can take pictures of products, honestly, in really poor lighting and poor situations, but it'll just clear the background so it works properly. I recommend sitting down and talking with somebody so you can get a feel for it, because we live in a generation where we Google everything, or worse now, we ChatGPT everything. Yeah. There's just so much to be said for sitting down and having that human conversation.
It's huge.
It's an industry where you need to build connections.
Well, and that's why we made this. Like, that's why we created Lashing Out and Nailing Life, was because we wanted to give a place for people who didn't maybe necessarily have someone that they felt comfortable asking. Yeah. Like, we didn't want it to be, oh, I'm doing this all by myself. I don't have friends in the industry. I don't know anyone that, like, because I would be nervous reaching out to nail techs I didn't know and being like, well, what do you use? Because for all I know, they're going to gatekeep and be rude about it, because some people are like that. Yeah. It's
a nerve-wracking community to get into, and you really do have to find your people. I mean, I'm sure we all witness this occasionally, where we'll still interact with not necessarily the wrong person, but somebody that does make us feel uncomfortable, because some people haven't pushed past the gatekeeping. And I like to think that we are finally getting to a point, at least in the lash community. I don't know how true it is for the other parts of the beauty world, but I feel like we are finally getting to a point where that's frowned upon.
I think it just depends, because there are nail techs that I see who will give you their free step-by-step how they do every single service. And then I have some people who will be like, if you want to see how I did this, pay for my $400 class. And I understand that advice and time and money and things like that. But some of the classes that I've taken, being like, you know what, I really like her work, I'm going to take it. And it's been an absolute stupid class where I'm like, I already knew all of this. You're teaching the basics, and you didn't say this was for basics. You said it was for advanced issues. And here I am paying all this money, and I learned absolutely nothing.
You really do have to be careful who you're taking classes from. I 100% recommend reading reviews, and if they don't have any reviews about their classes, it's probably a no-go. You do not want to be the first person to pay full price for a class if they have never actually taught anybody. Trainers should 100% be having either discounted trainings to begin with or free trainings with people they know properly and getting feedback and reviews on how their training style is. And they should have those reviews ready for you when you ask, like, hey, can I hear from other students of yours how you helped them? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, so I have 2 instances for examples of both of these. There's a brand that I use where they will do, I think it's once or twice a month on Wednesdays, they will do a live Instagram basics. Like, here's the product, here's how we use it. If you want more detail on how I clean up the cuticles, if you want more detail about exactly more in-depth details, then you can take part 1 and part 2 of this class, and then you get certified, and then you get on their list and all this kind of stuff. And that's what made me take their class, is I took their free one and was like, wow, this was really in depth, and it's telling me things that I don't already know, so I bet their other classes will be like that too. And that's how it was. Versus I paid $50 for a marketing class from this girl who was like, which I've talked about this before, people will say how I grew my business, but how they grew their business is by saying how I grew my business. Like, it's not real, or they're too gatekeepy. And so this girl was like, how I grew my business, buy my $50 blah blah blah, and I'm gonna tell you exactly my steps. And her points were literally stuff that we've told you on the podcast. Oh, well, I was just really consistent with posting. Oh, I just really figured out how to like schedule. Oh, I made sure that I did a giveaway for these things, and I did a collaboratory one so I could do it with multiple people. And I was like, this is the dumbest advice I've ever had.
Like, it's stuff that should be free.
Right. Like, I was expecting, when I read my algorithm, even though it told me everyone's there at 6, I posted at 5:55 because then I was the first. Like, I was waiting for stuff like that. Which I don't even know if that's true, if that was something that would work. But none of them are telling you the nitty gritty, which is what I'm trying to go into even with my book, is like, I want it to be affordable. I want it to be like, if you spend $10 on it and you feel like it wasn't worth it for you, it was at least it was only $10, you know, and not, oh, I spent $100. Because another thing that I spent $50 on was this girl who, she used a specific brand that at the time I was using, and I was having issues with retention. And she was like, oh, buy my $50. It was an ebook on how she gets her retention. And it was all stuff that I already did. And I was like, this is stupid. I wonder if it was a video, if I would have noticed that she did something differently. Or, you know, and for $50, I didn't feel as defeated because I did at least get to see like her supplies. But it just was like, I don't want, like, I want to create, again, this is why we're doing this podcast, is free advice. All we're doing is giving you free advice that we wish we had had.
The best educators out there who are charging $1,000+ for their thing, like hands-on in-person trainings, are going to have free education for you on their socials, whether it's through their Instagram, through TikTok, through a podcast, through a blog. They are going to have free information for you out there. My best example for this, if you are in the lash world, her name is Lexi. She's located in Pennsylvania. She has a podcast called Lash and Yap, and then her business Instagram is Lux Aesthetics. I will shoot it to Emma so that we can put it in the caption for this. She is going to be your best reference point for looking at what I mean about this. But if you go to her Instagram, it is stacked on stacked on stacked on education. She is so crystal clear about things that'll help you. And honestly, there's things on there that most educators would charge you for this information. But she is 100% open. She doesn't gatekeep. And that is how she builds your trust for you to take a class with her. And those are the kind of educators you want to look for out there. And there's tons of them out there. She's just one that I'm personally close with and I know well and I trust her. And I've even taken a mentoring call with her for feedback on stuff, and she really helped me out. And that's the other thing. If they do $100 mentoring calls, that also means they have really good faith in what they're doing, because ain't nobody charging $100 for an hour mentoring call if they're not good at what they do. So just look at what education they are offering you.
And
online.
If they're doing that gatekeeping, buy my class, figure it out, before they've even given you any tips, don't do it. That's the biggest red flag. The girl that I got the marketing class from, I just trusted the fact that she had a bunch of followers, she was getting a bunch of views, everything looked really aesthetic, and that she had done nails at one point and turned 100% to remote marketing. And then I bought that one book, and it was honestly like a scam. Like, it was like a MLM type of scam. Because at the end of the book, her last tip was to create a sustainable product where you don't have to put more work into it, but like an ebook. She was literally like, make your own ebook and sell it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
That was a huge scam for the longest time. Lightheart actually did a whole podcast episode on it to try and prevent people from falling down that rabbit hole.
Because it was like, and I was like, you know what? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because how am I going to sell a book to other people about marketing when I have no experience? I don't have a bunch of people. Like, it was literally that MLM of the, okay, so now you do an ebook and then you can sell that ebook to other people and tell them to sell an ebook, and then they're selling an ebook to people, and and it's just a crazy thing. And yes, I'm making an ebook, but I'm doing it because there's so many things in the industry with social media, like basics that I've talked about on here as well.
Yeah.
That I'm realizing people don't think about and people get nervous about to do with their marketing, even just simple as lighting your pictures. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have a whole section where I talk about this is how I light my pictures. And I've talked about that before, but this is a little more in depth and whatever. And I'm not trying to advertise it on here, but anyways, we need to move on to the next question.
The baseline of all of that is continue your education, but be aware on where you're continuing your education from.
And again,
never assume that you're the best at what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know why we peaked that.
Okay.
So, next question.
When do you feel most relieved in your business?
So, my first one was when systems are in place and things run smoother. So, like booking system and things like that. Also, when I do my end of month report and I actually get to see how much money I made and profited.
See, I still don't do that.
So, but you do your own taxes too, right?
Yeah, and I just deal with it when tax season comes.
Because I have an accountant and I have to send it to her a month ahead of time. So, and I say a month ahead of time, but like I have to finish my December report and then immediately send it to her.
Fair. I actually have a piece of advice related to this. I 100% recommend getting a business card that you put all your business expenses on, because it's going to make your life so much easier for tracking.
You separate things, yeah.
And second of all, I would personally recommend QuickBooks. They might have increased their prices, so it's probably either $20 or $25 a month. But that makes me feel so much better because I know everything. That's how I do my own taxes, if anybody's wondering. Everything is tracked through there.
Uses.
And QuickBooks is connected to TurboTax, so when tax season comes, I just say, hey, hook these two things together, and it does all the magic for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good place to try and, especially now with AI and ChatGPT, and I know it's kind of in an uproar and people are hating on AI right now. But if you're starting out and you don't have the money for an accountant, also, I don't know how it is in other states, but in Colorado, you do not have to file quarterly taxes for your first year in business.
I still don't file quarterly.
Oof, that's rough.
The fine is only $50. So
yeah, but that's still $50. Like, I don't have $50. Plus, my taxes is already a lot. Like, $50 is nuts. But file quarterly. It's super easy. You can get it set up. I do my sales tax. I have to do quarterly as well.
I do that quarterly.
And they're I think they're about either the same month or a month apart sometimes for sales tax and whatever. But definitely getting systems set in place that make your life easier, whether that is your end of month report and seeing how much you've progressed, whether that is, getting an accountant, or I really lucked out. My accountant is my mom's best friend. She's been super helpful. She answers all my questions. And the only thing that I really have her do is I send her my report, and then she inputs it into the official federal government tax thing and state tax thing, and submits it for me. So it's just like extra eyes, because there have been times where she's like, wait a minute, why is this number different than that number? And I'm like, oh, oops. Let me fix that real quick. So definitely having those in place.
As I go with my business, I take a lot of additional courses and I listen to a lot of podcasts. I personally, unless you have a connection like Emma does with an accountant, because they can be
sorry, I just realized that you're leaning. I didn't want it to be.
They can be really expensive. After talking to a lot of people, you don't really need an accountant unless you're making $100K or more. So once you hit that $100K mark, definitely invest in an accountant. But until you're there, as long as you have a system such as QuickBooks to do it for you, I would recommend, unless you have a connection, or if you are making enough money that you feel 100% comfortable paying an accountant. I just am not there. I don't feel comfortable paying an accountant. Everything's worked out
and
for
learning
me.
how to do your own taxes is a very
It's also a good skill,
important skill. Like,
yeah, so
it's good to know that.
I would just recommend, once you hit 100K, definitely an accountant. You're gonna miss so many different things. And the other reason
you can write off so much more depending on your tax bracket too and stuff too.
The other reason I don't pay quarterly, and go with Emma on this, you probably should, is somebody I very much look up to in the industry on their podcast mentioned that they don't think it's important you pay quarterly as long as you're comfortable with the fine.
And saving. You have to save.
Oh yeah, you have to save
for your taxes.
But like sometimes paying quarterly for your taxes can be very overwhelming. It just adds another thing. And if you're not comfortable doing that, because since I do it myself, I can look into this and we can do an additional podcast episode on this, on how to do it through QuickBooks, because I haven't looked into it. Maybe I should. Emma scared me now. But as I said, the fine is only $50, so that's less than like $25 every quarter that I'm paying for not doing it quarterly.
Yeah, I mean,
and my taxes are so expensive anyways that $50 feels like nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the reason you're supposed to pay quarterly and all of this stuff is because it can add up at the end of the year. So like if you're paying $2,000 a quarter and you don't do that, and then the end of the year comes around, well, now you're supposed to pay $8,000
fair
up front. And if you're not good at managing your money in that way or visibly looking at things, then you would be like, oh, well, I have $8,000 in my account, and then all your money is gone because you didn't budget. So it all depends on the type of person you are and stuff too.
And also something I didn't realize until I first paid my taxes is you're, as a sole proprietor business owner, you pay for your taxes out of your personal account, not out of your business account. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Do you not do that?
So when it's just us, they're connected. So everything that we make is our money.
Well, yeah, I know, but since I pay myself, I'm supposed to pay out of my personal account because I send my money from my business account to my...
It's all your money.
It's what I was taught.
So, like, what I was told by my accountant... What I was told by my accountant is, let's say you make $60,000 in the year. You made that $60,000. But because you have a business, you have the opportunity to write off business expenses out of your personal income of that $60,000. So even if I pay myself $30,000 a year, the whole sum that's being taxed is the $60,000. So it doesn't matter what account it comes out of as long as you're paying it from you.
Okay, so maybe the reason it matters for me is because my QuickBooks is connected to it, and if I take it out of there, it's going to count it as a tax write-off, and you're paying your taxes is not a tax write-off.
Maybe. I don't know.
We can cut this part out.
No, this is good. I think it's fine. But that's what I was told by my accountant is, like, if you make $60,000, all of that money is yours. I could give all that money to myself. However, we have expenses.
Oh, well, yeah. I think mine is just because of how it
might be
my
set
systems work, whereas like your accountant is figuring out everything for you and dotting the I's and
maybe
crossing the T's.
And it might be something like, because you're using QuickBooks, they don't want you to use like a business checking account for whatever weird reason. Yeah. Because even though I pay myself, when I go to do my taxes, it's all attached to my social security number as Emma.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
I'm an LLC.
All of mine is connected too.
And so when I pay it, even though I've personally given myself however much I'm paying myself, then it's still that same sum.
Yeah.
Now, if I became, like we have our friend Mackenzie, who is an auto broker, and she's an S Corp.
Yeah.
And once you become an S Corp, you become your own employee, and it's really complicated and it's super stupid. And most of the time in the long run, unless you have employees, more than one employee specifically, it's not going to be worth it, because then you have to pay for payroll and you have to pay for paying into all these other taxes that, funny enough, as somebody self-employed, you don't have to do that going into. And then also, as an S Corp, I think you can avoid paying into Social Security. So depending on how you feel about Social Security, you might want to not do that either, but it just depends.
Yeah. If you're an S Corp, get an accountant.
Yes.
That's my feedback.
And I talked to my accountant about it, and she said where I am right now, it would not be worth it. And now with that new overtime and W-2 employees with the tax on tips and stuff, it went from, the S Corp went from I wouldn't save any money to now I would save $200 a year on taxes, which isn't isn't worth it because that $200 is going to have to go towards paying for the payroll every month.
Yeah, exactly.
Paying for the
towards different things.
Extra fees, maybe paying my accountant more because now they have to do more work. So it's really, it's not worth it. Okay, what else do I have? Things that make me feel relieved about my business.
Not taxes.
Not taxes, I know.
My big thing is when clients send me their reviews on how their lashes are doing. I can actually pull one up probably and
defeating that imposter syndrome when people say, or even when I have a client come in and they're like, oh my gosh, so many people complimented my nails and I couldn't tell them about you because you're so hard to get into. And I'm like, oh, wow.
One of my favorite things about this industry is the fact that I have a connection between every single state pretty much. And this is the most wild story, but this was like one of the things that really brought me peace in my business. So I think there's over 200 ambassadors for the brand that I'm an ambassador for right now. But thanks to that, I have a huge community. And there's this girl located in South Carolina that I think I met at LashCon last year. I'm not positive. I'm so sorry. But we've only met once, even if we have met. We might not have met at all, but she knew me. She knew I was located in Colorado through this brand ambassadorship. And there was a woman from Colorado who had flown to South Carolina for a wedding. And before she had gone, unfortunately, she had a very poor set of lashes done. She was in excruciating pain. Her eyes were swelling. So she booked an appointment in South Carolina, not knowing anything about this lash artist other than seeing her work on social media and thinking she was good. Luckily, she's a really good and talented lash artist. So she went there, had her lashes fixed best she could, given she only had an hour and a half. And this lash artist recommended me to her back in Colorado. And I am literally 5 minutes down the street from her. And she's like, it's such a small world. And she came in to see me. Boy, did she need new lashes. I did a whole like new full set on her. And she sent me a text saying that they were a little sparse for herself, and I explained why, and it's because we're trying to get her lashes back to being healthy. And she was like, no, like I 100% am good with my lashes. I really appreciate your care and concern for getting them healthy. I'll be fine until my appointment for 2 to 3 weeks. I completely trust you, girl. And it's texts like that, and it's knowing that other lash artists in other states are referring people to me. That's what makes it all worth it.
Yep.
It's moments like that where I know I'm doing the right thing, because I still have very slow weeks. This week is a very slow week for me, and that's okay. But when things like that happen, I feel very at peace knowing that there are people out there that very much do love my work and respect my work.
Going to the having slow weeks, that's why doing my end of month report is so soothing for me, because this last week I had 2 people cancel all their appointments with no explanation, no text reaching out, no nothing. I've been doing both of their nails for at least 3 to 4 months now. One texted me saying to cancel all of her appointments, and her next set was supposed to be her wedding test nails and then her wedding nails. So that made me feel really sad because I'd gotten to know her this whole time. We were talking about her wedding and planning and stuff. And so that, on top of the fact that like it's a slower week for me, doing my report and seeing like, oh, I actually reached my financial goal and I'm okay, helps me visualize like my success more than just being like, well, this week is slow and next week is slow. But like, I already met my goals. I can pay myself, I can pay my expenses, and I can pay my taxes. So our last question is regrets or things we do differently.
I feel like we've like touched on this as we've gone through. There's definitely been some courses I invested in that I wish I hadn't. So going back to that, do your research on who you're purchasing courses from.
I would say not saying no early on when it was needed.
Yeah, get used to setting boundaries.
I've talked about this before too. I fired my first client earlier this year, and I had been doing her nails for 2 years. And while all like we were saying, sometimes you have to take those difficult clients, but I definitely should have.
2 years is a long time.
I should have said no once I had a wait list.
Yeah.
So there was that. There's also the saying no to ideas and arts and styles. And of course, like some people get to a point where they only do certain lash sets, or they only do character art for nails, or they only do blondes, or they only do extensions or whatever. But if there's something, if somebody's trying to book with you and they want to do something that you either don't think you'll have time for or don't think that's within your skill set at the moment, and you tell them this and they're maybe more closed off about it, or they're like, no, that's fine. Like saying, hey, I'm actually not comfortable doing this is okay.
You don't have to do everything, especially if you're uncomfortable with it. At the beginning, you should really be doing what you're most comfortable with to build trust.
Especially in the nail industry, because people will ask me all the time, well, if somebody sends you a picture of something that you want, do you just have to like go out and buy it really quickly? And I'm like, no, because I'm only going to use it once. Like, I used to do that. I would be like, okay, people want charms right now. Charms are big. I'm going to buy 50 million different charms. Nobody gets charms anymore. There'll be certain colors that are like fluctuating in the trending cycle of trends. And if I would buy that color, I used it once. I had a neon orange. Neon orange was super, super popular one summer. I bought one. Everybody wanted neon orange. I have not used it since.
That's fine.
Not used it since. So be like, if somebody sends you a picture of what they want and you don't have the supplies, or you do but it won't be the exact, tell them.
Be honest.
Do
not set unreasonable expectations.
I had a client send me this really cool set that was like a cat eye swirl and this cool star and this really beautiful colors, and I was like, I don't have the colors to do this. I have similar like styles, like we could do it in pink or we could do it in purple, but I don't have the blue and this specific shade of burgundy brown, so if you want it to look like this, we can't do it. And she was like, okay, that's fine, I'm just gonna do this instead. But if I had said sure, and she came in and then I said, hey, I actually don't have this stuff, it would have been, or I showed her the things that I did have and it wasn't what she wanted. That's so much harder to deal with, because you basically told them they could have this really cool thing and now they can't.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also for your own financial stuff, if somebody wants something, like our friend Jayla, I do her nails. She loves the romantic gothy charm 3D nails. She really wants crosses on her nails, and I kept meaning to buy some. But then, like, we would go periods where she didn't want that kind of nail, and so I wouldn't. And recently she was like, I'm just going to buy some and bring them in for you to use when I want to use them. And I was like, perfect. I won't charge you for the charms.
Yeah.
So you get to keep that, and you get to just bring them when you want them. And I even told her, you can leave them in my studio and they'll be like your charms. But, you know, I'm done buying things for people when they want specific things, because you'll only use it once.
That's one of my biggest regrets, is I bought too much when I started. My initial expense for my business was pretty high. And I mean, like, aesthetics wise, because I do skin and lashes, so there is actually a huge overhaul when you start that business. I'm going to be completely transparent. It was significantly more than $7,000. For anybody listening, if you are starting skin and lashes together,
is expensive, and lash supplies are also expensive.
High quality lash supplies is gonna cost you, and I promise you, you want to invest in it. However, what I say when I mean that I did not budget accordingly, I bought retail. So when you are investing in skincare, most companies are gonna have a buy-in of $1,000, $1,500,
which
$3,000.
Is stupid to me, but okay.
It sucks when you're a solo provider. I think my initial buy-in for the skincare company I use, and I love them and I still use them, so I don't have any hatred towards this. I just signed up with
them also.
Was $3,000 for the package I got from them, and that included in-person training, which I wanted to take because I value what I know. I wanted to feel the products. I wanted to touch the products with a trainer with me so I could ask the proper questions. He actually even gave me a complimentary facial, so I got to like feel how it felt on my skin.
Yeah, and
which was
sometimes
really cool.
with skin too, they will also then count that as you getting certified in a specific product, which then is something else to add to your...
So while I do appreciate everything I got with the full package, I have retail to this day, 3 years later, that I have never sold. And obviously I have now taken off my shelves because I cannot sell it, because I think it has 2 years of shelf life. I'm pretty sure that's what this brand has, is 2 years of shelf life. And it just kind of sucks to like have to toss that product essentially and be like, well, that was a loss. And then the other thing is I blindly took a recommendation for what products I should use for lashes. from somebody I trusted at the time. And I should have done my own personal research because I invested in single length trays. So there's lashes range from like 6 to 25 millimeters. Please don't use 25 millimeters on your clients. I'm telling you right now, nobody can handle that. Really tap out at 17 at the longest for wispy sets. But anyways,
yeah, that's nuts. 14 I thought was really long.
So you can get multi-length trays, which will come with that variety of like 8 to 15, or you can get single length trays, which is like 20 rows of each length. Okay. It's my brief breakdown of how this works. Well, when I first started, I trusted this person. I bought single length trays. So 20 rows of like 8 millimeter, 20 rows of 9 millimeter, 20 rows of this. It's a lot of product to buy. When you have never tested those lashes before, please start by ordering a multi-length tray from any company you are testing.
And going back to the asking doesn't hurt is if you're curious about trying a brand and maybe you go online and you see that their buy-in is really high, or the minimum you can order for whatever for a package is high, email them and be like, hey, I'm curious about trying, because some brands, like your skincare brand, since I just signed up with them, they will let you sign up as a professional personal account, which is what I did because I'm looking for new things.
I actually think my skincare company doesn't require a buy-in. I just did it for the education.
Well, yeah, and that might be it too. But like, so some do. Like, there was a company that was like, oh, it's going to be $5,000.
Some are insane.
But with
Be careful.
With specific companies, the one you use, and then also another one that I'm looking into for my for either me or my, there's two. Yeah. I'm looking at both of them for both of us. But anyways, they have programs where you can go in as a personal but licensed, so your wholesale isn't as much, as the business account, but you still get a discount and you can try products out for still a cheaper rate, and you don't have to, there is no crazy minimum where every order you place has to be $500 or anything like that.
I also, mine doesn't have a minimum. I can order whatever I want whenever, which is really nice. I also know that mine, and I'm sorry if you didn't do this, but you can reach out to them and they'll send you free samples of whatever you want so that you can feel it. Yeah. And I personally believe that the brands that really do believe in their products are going to be open to doing that because they know they're expensive, but they also know their value. So they know that once they send you those free samples, you're most likely going to stick with them. You're going to purchase them.
And with your brand Circadia, I think even though I'm a personal pro, they still have some online education classes for certain products. And the other one I'm looking at too also has 100% online. Like, yes, you can take in-person stuff, but you can also do online classes that are free and included in you just having an account with them, to where I can see, like, I learned that, oh, actually that product would be good for my skin, or oh no, I thought that was going to be the one I was going to pick, but it's not going to be for me, or
and we've talked about this in the past, but I personally think the brands you can trust the most are the ones that have education, and not all of them do have online education because doing online education is a lot. It's a lot to pivot to if that's not what they're used to doing. Like the camera work is there's a lot that goes into online education. So they might not all have that as an option, but they should at least be offering in-person education, or possibly have a YouTube channel with little tips and tricks, or a podcast or something. But when you are looking at what companies to invest in, look at what education comes with that, because a company that doesn't offer education, in my opinion, doesn't stand by their product. Yep. And they're just wanting your money.
Yep. Yeah. Unless they're like brand spanking new. Like one of the brands that I use,
be careful.
Yeah, one of the brands that I use, the only reason I use them is because the owner used to be a consultant for another brand that I used.
And that's okay. That's like,
so I knew that it was going to be high quality, and I also didn't buy all of their colors to begin with. I bought their black and their white because that is telling to me, and then I think I got like a builder gel and their base coat so I could use it with that. Yeah. But it's all about, like, it's better to, like, I'm about to try another builder gel brand because everyone's talking about it right now, and I'm going to try it. And most of the time I end up hating them, but I didn't buy, like, I was like, oh, I should get a pink and I should get a this. And I was like, no, I'm going to start with their clear. Yeah. And I'm going to see how it goes. And if you know that your majority of the lashes you're going to be starting with require certain millimeters, or certain individual versus pre-made or whatever, then just get what you think you're going to need to start. And then when people start saying, hey, you know what? I do want colored lashes. I do want brown. I do want more wispy. I do want more this or whatever. Then, or with nails, I do want more neons or pinks or nudes. Then expand on that. Because buying so much to start, again, going back to that woman that I had who like took out the loan, she bought so much product that she's like, the one thing she's most nervous about is the color, because color will go bad. Yeah. So
skincare, adhesives.
Yeah. So it's like, don't think, and I've said this before, especially with nails, don't think you need every color. Like, get the colors, especially if you've already been working in a salon and you kind of know what people gravitate towards in the nail industry. Like, if you were starting out now, I would say get a couple really, like 3 really good universal French nude bases, a white chrome, because everybody's still doing Hailey Bieber nails, your primary colors, red, blue, yellow. I would even do like the true ones, like the chartreuse and the whatever, and then black and white, and then a couple of new, and then like whatever other little ones, but I wouldn't start with more than like 50 colors if you're starting for nails.
Yeah, and then lash wise, I would recommend trying a couple different brands. I would not buy in all to one brand like I did. I would recommend getting multi-length trays from all of those different places. I would recommend testing on a mannequin first, or if you're me, your mom. I would maybe do one eye. This you need to have a person for. I'd maybe do one eye with one adhesive and one eye with the other adhesive, so you can track shedding and retention and see which ones hold up better in your environments and which ones don't. But try different brands, because every company makes their lashes so differently. Adhesives, for the most part, are all kind of made in the same manufacturers, because it's just how lash adhesive works. But also invest in higher end products. Don't order your stuff off of Amazon. You're working around people's eyes in our industry. And I think you need to have a certain level of respect for that. That's my other thing, is if you are starting in this industry for money, don't. Start in this industry because you love what you do. Start in this industry because you feel good making other people feel good. I think that's the whole heart of the beauty industry. And if you are not in this industry to help other people feel confident in their skin and help other people feel beautiful, I'm sorry, but you're in this industry for the wrong reason. And I just wanted to sidebar, because I didn't really like how I reacted to something earlier. You can 100% support a new business. You need to see their history, though.
Yes.
Were they a lash artist? Were they a nail artist? Did they do hair? Have they done free education? Do they know their things about everything? And how long have they been in the industry?
Do they interact with you when you ask them to?
Gosh, yeah.
I posted a video the other day saying I might be looking for a new nail lamp. Oh, yeah. And one of the brands that I talked about was like, hey, here's all the information that you just asked for. And here's what makes our lamp different than other lamps. If you want it, here's 20% off.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, that shows that it is, especially when they know that, like, for me, in my case, I need 2. Offering a discount is huge, because they know that you're going to want to use it. And if you like it, gel nail lamps kick the bucket after a year and a half, 2 years, and they're expensive. And so if you don't like one and it dies on you, you're not going to use it again.
It's fair.
Or if you don't like the brand.
Yeah, so you 100% invest in new businesses. I didn't mean to not, but definitely just look at who has founded them, why they have founded them, what is their purpose, do they talk to you, do they answer your questions, are they transparent? That's all important. But yeah, lash-wise, black lashes, I personally think nowadays we only need 0.03s. However, I would invest in 0.05, 0.07. Classic lashes have kind of gone out because they kind of damage the lashes. I can do an episode on that later. But yeah, multi-length trays, start with black, couple adhesives. I think that's it, though.
Yeah.
I definitely invested in too much.
My stomach is growling really loud. I was looking at you. I was like, I wonder if Jade can hear this, because it's growling so loud. So I think we're going to end this episode here. Like we've said through this whole episode, if you have any questions, concerns, more in depth about the products we use, more in depth about anything, we can, if we get enough questions about it, then we'll probably end up doing an episode on it. Or you can just DM us your quick 10, however many, I say quick and then I said 10 questions, but however many questions you have, we're both pretty open.
We're both very transparent.
And like you even post a lot of stuff about just educating within the brand that you use. Like I loved your last little video about the pre-made, like the whatever those are called.
I could do a whole episode on pre-made hate and how they're shouldn't be hated on anymore.
Yeah.
I do a lot of product knowledge on my account for both clients, and I try to aim it both ways, and lash artists. But yeah.
And I do the same. Like I really hate that DIYer nail thing. Like we all are hating on DIYers or something, but people will ask me all the time, okay, I've decided to do my nails at home. What should I do? And I will tell them because I'd rather them be safe than me be like, I'm not going to tell you, and then give them a life-altering allergy.
Yeah.
Or they give themselves that life-altering allergy, I should say. But
that's just because we're in the industry for the right reason. I swear.
Right.
It makes such a difference.
If you get in it for money, like
You're
that guy that I mentioned earlier, there's a 2% chance that you will be someone who can get away with scamming people. If you get in into the right way, if you get in low enough, then maybe. Because I've talked about celebrity nail techs before. They suck. There's probably, like the person who does Benny Blanco's toes, he's the only celebrity she does. So she's not, I don't consider her, and she's great. I think I would just say person. I was like, actually, now that I'm thinking about it might not be a woman. But anyways, and then there's also Sean Legend, who also has his own nail supply thing now, and he used to or still does the Kardashian nails, but for the most part, like celebrity techs, I think, got into being travel techs when it was just starting out because they suck. Selena Gomez, Jennifer Lopez's primary nail artist, is awful. And I don't care if people are like, well, they don't look that bad. You know how much he's charging for a basic red nail. Yeah. That's insane. So if you get into it for money, I'm not saying that there's not a 1% chance it would work, but you also will probably end up being miserable.
I see like that woman is just one example, but I see so much work that is so poorly done. Mm-hmm. And it breaks my heart that there are people out there doing that and feeling okay doing that to people, because you're working around people's eyes. You can cause lifelong allergies with nails. Boy, can you do damage to hair if you're not doing it correctly.
Celebrity hairdressers are the worst.
That's probably my biggest advice through this entire thing is make sure you are starting your business from your heart, from your passion, from your soul. If you want to start a business to make money, I'm just going to say, don't do it.
Yeah.
You should never start a business with your main goal being to make money.
Yep.
That makes me uncomfortable. I don't believe that there's any heart or soul behind that. And starting a business is so hard anyways that if your heart's not in it and your passion's not in it, it's going to be impossible for you anyways.
Yeah.
But especially in the beauty industry, please don't be hurting people just to make money.
And the amount of people that I have, and I'm sure you get this too, of like you're so gentle and this is such a better experience and this is such a da-da-da. It's because like we want it to be good. Yeah. We don't, like I didn't get into nails originally as my main pathway. You didn't get into this as your main pathway, and the fact that like we're doing it now and we take it so much more seriously is how it should be. You should not get into this because you think, first of all, if you think you're gonna make money just doing even what we're doing, do I make 6 figures? Absolutely not.
Please don't trust people that sell courses that is like, this is how to have a 6-figure lash business or nail business. Nobody is just doing their services and making that much money.
Yeah. And the reason they're making 6 figures is because they're selling their classes. It's that endless loop. Okay. We're going to end this episode here. As usual, we will have that's why I'm like, I need to do more business ones because I feel like we've been doing lots of personal lately, which I love. But also then we come here and we like, it's like not trauma dumping, but like, let me tell you all of this stuff at the same time.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear your specific questions so we can do another episode like this because we do have a lot on it, and it would be much better if we knew exactly what you guys wanted to hear. But Emma will have everything.
Yes, our podcast Instagram, our business Instagrams. I will put Lexi's stuff in there too. I'm pretty sure she listens to our podcast, so wink. So we'll put her stuff down there too. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye. Bye.